Toast, what are we talking about today? You know this. You've got the. What are we talking about?
Today, we're talking about the death of Warcry. The death of Warcry. I know. It's true.
So,
Wait.
so
It's
sad.
been-
I've got some eye drop somewhere here.
It's been said so many times now that Warcry is dead. It comes up every 3 months, give or take. And I'm sad to say Warcry is dead again, lads. It's over.
It's dead
What do we
again
do?
after the second biggest update it's ever had. It's a dead game. I'm very sorry for it. There goes my entire career.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was all the waste. All technical kill teams here. It's the next logical step. Warcry is dead forever. Underworld is here now as well, so what's the point in playing Warcry ever again, you know?
Yeah.
That's the end.
You know, they rebooted one and then they rebooted another, and they're going to stop there. They're never going to reboot anything. They're never going to have a new version of anything.
Reboot? It was really good.
Games Workshop only does streams in twos, right? So that's all they do. So that would be true if it wasn't a pack of lies.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's complete shite.
You think someone would do that? Go on the internet and tell lies?
Who would do that? Maybe they would make videos just for clicks. Who would do that? I don't know. Anyway,
okay. After a week of the most clickbaity titles I've ever seen, from Mr. Toast over whatever he is, I don't think we can talk about.
No, we really can't.
But you know what? The thing is, yours are actually really informative and have really good content, and it isn't like 45 minutes of going like. But I think this game is dead because I have never heard of a tournament that's happened about it, and I'm like, I was in one last week, and they're like, "Well, that sounds fake to me."
That's a deep fake. That's a deep fake tournament. All AI. You were never there.
I mean, all right. Let's break this down slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
By the way, Rob's like completely insulted by just the idea of that.
That's it.
He's gone. Wild Dice is now 3 of us.
We've now disbanded.
Yeah.
We're like the Beatles.
One new logo.
Yeah. But yes,
right.
Sorry, Aidan.
Yes. Let's break this down. Okay. Obviously, Warcry is not dead. Okay. So
no,
that's one thing. But anyone who says it does is the same old tired arguments, right? These are generally people who have only played casual play. They expect the release schedule of every single thing that Games Workshop produces to be the same as like Warhammer 40k, where there's like new content, bam, 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 every single week. They don't. I mean, it seems like anyway, they don't make much of an effort to engage with the actual online community. And when you are in that situation, you become very isolated from what's actually going on. And I think you get somewhat of a skewed view as to what's actually happening in the game. If we want to talk about reality and what's actually happening, we had our boy John Bracken, the proverbial Warcry Jesus, come out in April.
Lord of the Sweater.
And he said, he came out on video and he said, right, this is what's going to happen with Warcry. I'm going to release updates and they're going to be periodic updates. I'm going to put in everything that comes out in Age of Sigmar, any models that you want to use, I'm going to put it in the game, and it's going to be periodic. And this is the focus that we're going to be on. And the best thing is that he didn't lie about it. It wasn't all Games Workshop speak for just like, oh, here's a thing, let's shut these guys up. He came out in April, he did one. We just had a really big update in September that's basically 2.5 factions.
Yeah.
They updated, kind of released. A lot of points updates for more competitive players, even casual players. We know that casual players benefit massively from points updates, because balance is important to everybody, right? You want to have fun with the models that you have. There are tournaments happening basically all the time. There were two really big ones in America. There was Nova Adepticon. Over here in the UK, Warhammer World is basically once every quarter. There are events happening over in Europe. There are events happening all over the place. And the trend is that this is only going to continue, right? Games Workshop is going to keep on pushing out FAQs and errata and updates every time something new comes out in Age of Sigmar. It's going to come, right? It might take a little while if they're doing one every 6 months, which is a good timescale, I think, by the way, in terms of game stability. I would hate there to be like, oh, here's an update every 3 months. Oh, by the way, if you only get to play a couple of times in a quarter, then you're going to have to basically learn an entirely new game system every quarter. So yeah, all the indicators for me, and I know I'm going on a bit, are that Warcry is carrying on, and there's no like by now, if Warcry was dying and Warcry was dead, or if there was a new edition coming or something, we would have heard about it by now. So for me personally, that leads me to believe that Warcry at the moment is in a place where we will be getting regular updates. The game is healthy and we are carrying on. One more thing before I forget, and then I'll let other people actually talk because I know I'm like commanding this entire
rambling
podcast.
Old man over there.
Yeah. It's almost like I did a video on this just a few days ago. Is that people say, "Oh, there's no content, right? There's no physical models coming out. No new
that comment so much.
I know it's so dumb. There's no warbands, so Warcry is dead." And I always push back with that, saying there are not just 63 factions. If you include all the Stormcast, there are 67 factions in this game. You're telling me that you just want more.
Yeah.
And you don't want Games Workshop to go back and revisit all of the old compendium teams, update them with fresh models. Like, okay, so you would prefer that we just got this never-ending cycle of stuff that we get with 40k, than Games Workshop actually taking the time, spending the man hours, because updating the points cost for like 100 fighters is not quick.
No.
Spending all that time and energy to really work on the game and make it the best version of the game it can be, you just prefer more stuff. Like, that's fine. Good on you. But that doesn't mean
that's what we're here for, Eitan. We're here to buy things.
Yeah, I'm totally here to buy things.
I'm not here to play. I'm not here to and I'm gonna make this point just once, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, because otherwise I'm just gonna be complaining. Spend half the time you would be complaining online, like getting some pals together and playing at your local.
Yep.
And that's the best way to make sure that game doesn't die. If you're having fun playing it with friends, right? I've done that all over Scotland, and the people that I've met and the games I've had, incredible. But I'm gonna leave it there because you can't be shouting that too much, because there's reasons that people don't, but it's easy to complain. And the thing is, I'm more than happy to sit here and break down all the good reasons that people have to complain, right? If you think about it, a lot of this is to do with perception. And
can I interject before you on the perception front, because I was not here. I want to chime in my 2 cents on this.
Oh, no one else has chimed in.
It was all Eitan.
Like, that was just Eitan going.
That was my TED talk.
Eitan came in and was like, "I have a script."
I really wanted to hear it. I was interested in it. I think the biggest thing to do too is like a lot of people naturally always want to play or see things, like which will lead into your like the perception of things. Like, people want to really engage with that, like the philosophy of just in like psychology behind consumerism, right? Like, of how people want stuff to buy to do it. The one thing I learned the very hard way about this game is there's 2 components to it. Like, it's a hobby and a game. Some people like both, some people like one or the other. And that's a big thing for people. So when people are like, hey, I really like this line because it's a sick line, I have everything and you're not making anything else, so I guess it's not existing. And that's like one talk. The other talk is like I could care less. Like honestly, like I'm gonna line up. I only buy things and I piece things off eBay for when I want to buy stuff. Like I don't think I've ever painted a full box of a warband yet. I paint what I need and I move forward, and that's it. And then there are people who, you know, have the one box, they just meet up with their friends, and guess what? You don't have to play the fact. You don't have to play these things. You can play however you want. You can't yell and say that's the right way to play it though, but you can do whatever you want. The game is always there if you spend less time crying about things you don't like and moving forward and, like you said, getting some friends together, playing together, starting something up, change the rules for your local thing, whatever you want, but you have to do those things, right? And the perception is always going to be tied around it, because if people don't perceive it being supported, and although we just got 2 facts within, you know, 6 months of each other, which is phenomenal, and we got like a huge range of things added in, so it lets the new AOS people come on in. So the people who bought their box, like the 2 friends that went and split their box of Scaventide, have complete models to use. They have things. People who are playing Underworld warbands can actually jump in and join. There's a lot of active support in terms of like points and everything, but the no product support is going to hurt perception no matter what, and that's just a reality of it. But it's far from dying. Like every time we see Underworlds, we're like, yeah, Warcry release, right? Because like we know it's coming to us. So we get releases for us, we get releases from AOS, we get releases for Warcry. So we're eating from 3 facets, but still, it's like not seeing the whatever color it is, like a brown. I don't even know what color the Warcry box is. The red and black were the original, right? Like not seeing that title across it really makes a disconnect for people, and it's easy to be like, well, I don't see it, so it must not be present. So that's tough. It's also tough when like they release a whole box and then they release the components months later, so people kind of peter out, but that's on their marketing and whatever front.
Well, but that's the thing, the nail on the head. The game itself, great, but we have a bad starter box that has Underworld's warbands.
Yeah.
There is little to zero support. Like last tournament was in September in Warhammer World. There's not going to be another one till next year. Whatever the reasons behind it. Because I know that the reasons are that the people aren't showing up for them, because we're getting 25 to 40.
Huge tournaments.
We got 25 on a Wednesday.
That's awesome. If it's on a Wednesday too, because it's like the dead middle of the work week, and people are.
And it's not just people who are local either. People are traveling to those events from like across England and the UK as a whole.
It was like a Wednesday, the first week after the summer holidays finished, so everyone was back to work.
The worst possible Wednesday, and it was like sold out still.
Yeah. So it's and you know, at the end of the day, there's still no tournament packs.
No.
Unless you find something on eBay for 3 or 4 times the amount, there's no tournament packs left, unless you find a store that got one at the first printing. So those are things that you can definitely, you know, people can definitely complain about, but that's not what they complain about. And those are the things that have the biggest impact, right? Events have the biggest impact. Making sure that there's and I'm not just talking competitive, right? Do narrative events. Like, look at the guys that are running the narrative events of Warhammer World. They do like Warboss Kurgan and the Animosity campaigns. Like, they just get together and they get their narrative events going, and they don't even advertise them because they have the people that they need to have. So they're just having fun, and they're having a good time.
I
and
think
that's what
I discovered, because it's not a video game, so everything's not set up for you, right? Nobody's innately saying like, here it is, here's your portal, here's the Nexus, jump in and go, right? A lot of it has to be self-started, and unless your area just naturally has people that like can currently meet up at a thing, and like it takes Kyle and I 2-3 months to grab 12 to 16 people from 3 to 4 different states to come to New Jersey, right? So then like you're willingly making that conscious decision to be like, I'm going to New Jersey on a Saturday, to leave Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia, Delaware, right? or tri-state area to like come down and then come to like some shanty beach town to go play, or go up North Jersey to play, which is just the pits, by the way. And it's really down to, do you have a nexus of players? And if you don't, are you willing to put forth that community? Because James is not going to come down on his magic carpet and be like, hey guys, I'm installing a community for you. Everything is community run. And when you have massive natural communities for like 40K that have been around for many, many years, it's easy for them to be like, well, I've spent hundreds of hours painting. I'm kind of stuck in this world. It's really where I want to be. It's more so much like you have to attack the stores that have, and build the community. You have to attack the stores that have AOS following. So that's why the compendium's so good, because it's like, hey, I want to play Warcry, and you don't have Horns of Ashud or Rotmire Creed, but you know what? I got Seraphon and you got Stormcast, and we could play. And it's going to take us an hour, and you only have 6 models. I only have 7 models. It's going to be fun. And then boom, that's how you get into it. But to go back to my point, like, these communities need to be started up by people and supported by people, right? And that's why like TTS exists in its own right. Like, it might not be in terms like the healthiest, because it's definitely like the most competitive sweaty lists in comp, and then casuals, fun, good time. But like, people, like, we made it so people could have it who don't have it near them. So it's up to people to go out in their local areas. Like, you live, I don't want to dox you, so I just had to stop myself. But you guys are in 3 different spots in the UK. And I'm sure there's like one of you probably has just no place, or a place that has a dead scene, or it's like an hour and something away. The other person's setting up place, and the other one of you lives in a grand old big city that I'm sure has stuff there or elements there, but it might not be the most convenient. So it's how you choose to support. If you want actual support from GW, then you have to say like, hey, we have the players. Don't put it on a Wednesday. Like, who cares about your Lord of the Rings skirmish game with 7 people who are cheating with dice in the toilet? Like, just put us on there.
Okay, let's not start throwing slander at the Middle Earth.
That game's popular enough to get another edition, right?
Sucks.
That's getting another edition, which Warcry, for the record.
That's another thing that's getting
Warcry,
a new edition.
I think people need to like.
That game got a new edition after 0 product. For like that game was basically like, you didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
All Games Workshop were doing was re-releasing old kits like every 6 months. Like that's all they were doing, right? So I don't think. Yeah.
It's not a game.
It's a pretty darn good game actually, but it's
a good game. It's a pretty good game.
Don't talk shit. Man. It's got people playing it on a very regular basis, and no, there's no.
You do not want to make an enemy of those Middle Earth guys.
Man.
Trust me, they will come on.
Dude, the mid 30s, 40-year-olds that are in public libraries. I'm really.
Dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is a dad game. They're playing a dad game. What? We're not throwing shade at other fandoms for being old and not wanting to spend hours playing the game.
I'm in that age bracket. I'm almost.
Yeah, bro.
We're all playing dad Fry here.
Friendly fire.
I think people need to like realize as well that Warcry is in a weird spot. It's not dead. People like throw out the word dead. It's not dead. It's just changing. It's going in a different direction than what it was going to before, and it likely won't change course for a while. And we've talked about this before, but I don't think Warcry is getting a 3rd edition anytime soon. Like, people are like, oh, it's due one.
Not next year.
It's due one next year. It's not getting one. Like, that's a fool's hope. Like, it's not getting one for at least 2 years, possibly more. And we're not seeing any more product for it for a fairly long time, because if we were going to get a new bespoke warband anytime soon, we would have heard about it by now. We heard about the Briar and Bone shortly after the Pyre and Flood came out. We heard about the Pyre and the Flood before whatever came before that, right? Like, we've always had a string of things in a pipeline that one knows coming out, and there's been nothing for like 3 months more, possibly, on the bespoke front, and that's not going to change. And I think it's like, well, instead we've received a shed ton of stuff in FAQs, like AOS additions to the game, and these haven't been like nothing. These have been like some of the most creative and interesting additions to Warcry ever. It's like, it's not a dead game. If it was a dead game, Ruination and Dark Oath would have been terrible. They would have just thrown out there with absolutely no consideration, and it would have been absolute crap. But these are genuinely fantastic warbands that are incredibly fun to play, and there's nothing like them. Like, give me more of that, because like 75% of all bespokes are shit anyway.